All right, instant reaction. Georgia takes down UT Martin 48-7. Big win for the Dogs to start the 2023 season. Looks like a blowout on paper, but Georgia kind of struggled early on in this game. They only had a 7-0 lead in the first quarter, went into halftime 17-0. Things just didn't look great offensively, didn't have any type of chemistry really. Seems like they came out a little flat. Carson Beck overall was good, but the offense needs to get better, and I think it will get better, but they just didn't have that same fire and intensity that you saw out of this team, you know, when they played Oregon to start the year, when they played Clemson to start the year. A few drives kind of stalled out here and there, and they just didn't seem crisp, and a lot of that is because it's the first game of the season. We saw a lot of really good teams struggle in this opening weekend to really get everything underneath them. Of course, you have to go out and play. That's how you get better. That's how you build team chemistry. But at the end of the day, Georgia really took off. I think midway through the third quarter is when they really started scoring and scoring a lot. And this went from a 17-0 game at halftime to a 48-7 win for Georgia. They scored a lot late, but there's a lot of good things to take away from this. I know a lot of Georgia fans are going to want the offense to play a little better, especially getting the game started. But when they started clicking, they did play really well. Carson Beck, the starter for Georgia, was 21 for 31 tonight. 1 touchdown. He also rushed for another touchdown, but he threw for 294 yards. He showed his arm. I think they kept it safe. I think the play calling was, a little safe, little vanilla. Like Carson kind of, dropped down and, checked down to some of his targets when things weren't there down the field. And he tried to stretch the field and go deep with some passes, but they didn't really click. But they have to get more explosive on offense, and it doesn't seem like it's there in the running back room right now. They've got some big guys, some heavy backs who can break tackles and get tough yards, but they're not running away from really anyone. There's no DeAndre Swift, James Cook, Todd Gurley, Keith Marshall type, of speed on this team. I don't think anyone on this roster is faster than Sony Michel, for that matter, who obviously played at Georgia and broke off a lot of big-time runs. Kildare Milton is a solid back. Looks like they need Daijun Edwards to come back. His change of pace style, his slashing ability, and his ability to take off for a big gain it is something that they really need. But overall, it was a solid day for the defense. They almost had a shutout, gave up 7 points late, but a lot of young kids came in the ball game, especially late. But I thought they played, fast and aggressive. They did give up some yards on the ground, though. UT Martin rushed for 132 yards on 30 attempts. There were a few runs that they just first down runs. They picked up yards on Georgia's defense, which is something that I wasn't exactly expecting coming into this game. But Georgia 28 first downs, 559 yards of total offense. And again, a lot of this came late in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, we saw some Brock Vandegrift. He had a beautiful deep ball down the field. We saw Gunnar Stockton come in and play well. So those guys led Georgia to some points as well. But that's what we wanted to see going into this game, and I think I talked about it last week. Get some of these younger guys in there. Get the other quarterbacks in there and let them throw. Don't let them in just to hand the ball off, even though this game went like almost 3.5 hours, which is ridiculous for a game like this. But it did drag on. But at the end of the day, you look at the scoreboard and you say, okay, 48-7, that's what Georgia should have done. They did not cover the massive spread, and I don't think they looked like the number 1 team in the country at times in this game. Now, when they were clicking offensively and playing fast and aggressive on defense, yes, you can see it, but this doesn't look like a team that's going to blow everyone out that they play, even on the regular schedule. The last 2 years, we've seen Georgia teams just manhandle and just abuse and bully other legitimate teams, and a lot of them are, of course, in the SEC. I would not say they dominated for 4 quarters in this game, especially in the first quarter. Again, first quarter ended 7-0, and Georgia had, I think, 1 or 2 different 3-and-outs, some drives that stalled. They kicked a field goal, I think, late in the second quarter that should have led to a touchdown. It just some miscommunication down there in the red zone, it looked like. But They did flash at times, and they gave you the sense that, hey, this team could win national championship. And it's just one game. It's the first game. But yeah, they have to play better. I think the coaches and the players will admit that. Kirby, I think, is going right now talking in his press conference, but a little shaky early on. I think, once they got their feet wet a little bit and the game progressed, they started to play better and better and better, especially the offense. Really moved the ball. Let's see, they rushed for 159 yards, threw for 400. And I think, Brock Vandegrift's play was promising. Gunnar Stockton's play was promising. You definitely saw what those two guys bring to the table. Defensively, Malachi Starks was all over the place. He played like an All-American today. 8 tackles. Tyke Smith with 6 tackles. Javon Bullard with 4 tackles. Kristen Miller, defensive lineman, with 3 tackles. A lot of freshmen got into the ball game late. I know that was part of the plan. You can't play freshmen in every game, and you'd rather not play them when SEC competition comes rolling around. But against UT Martin, when the game was over, we did see a bunch of guys take the field. But I'll have to look at some of the other scores. I know Ohio State did not have an impressive win. I think a few other teams, didn't dominate the way a lot of people maybe expected them to. And this is a funny year in college football because I don't know if there's one great team out there. I think Georgia looked beatable today, for sure, especially in the first 2 quarters and a little bit in the third quarter. They look like a team that could lose in the regular season. There's no doubt about it. I think Alabama looked the same way early on against Middle Tennessee State, as a lot of noises behind me. This is what we do. But it happens. They're getting the stadium clean. We got to be back here next week. But it wasn't all that pretty at times, but they did play better and better as the game went along, and that's what you wanted to see. I'm sitting there in the third quarter thinking they need to get something going. They need to score some points. They need to move the football. And as soon as I kind of thought that and was writing in my story, which you could check out on Dog Post, click that link down below. Free newsletter, free to sign up. Get all the stories emailed to you every day. We definitely want you to come check us out over on Dog Post. I hope that the noise in the background is not driving y'all away from this video. This is the first time we're doing this. I'm going to try to do an instant reaction video after every single game, talking about what I saw, what it means. Sometimes we're going to get some landscaping noise behind me. So that's what I've learned out here right now. But you just got to roll through it. You got to roll through it. The Dogs had an early start in the first quarter. They rolled through it. They ended up winning by 41 points. And that's what you got to do in these videos sometimes. You got to take what life gives you, make lemonade right out of the lemons. Is that what they say? But the Dogs took it to UT Martin the second half. That was the team that I think most Georgia fans expected. But when you win back-to-back national championships, you can't come out slow. And you can't kind of mess around because people are going to think, oh, okay, maybe there is a chink in their armor. Maybe they're not the same team. Maybe they're not the same program. Kirby wants them to play at a standard, a championship level standard, and I'm not sure they played like that today. We've seen them play a lot better. They've beaten SEC teams worse than what we saw out here tonight. So maybe it was the level of competition. I know it's still 100% hard to get up for games like this, even a season opener. It's still UT Martin, right? And for a lot of these players, it's not Florida, it's not South Carolina week 3, it's not Auburn. It's not a big game. And I'm not going to say that they kind of sleptwalked through the first quarter. I think UT Martin came ready to play, and they gave it everything they had. Still lost by 41, but I thought the effort on their side was good. I thought they played hard and gave it everything they had for 2 quarters, and then things kind of fell off the rails for them as Georgia went on to just cruise to victory. A lot of big plays in the third and fourth quarter, but yeah, they won by 41 points. And again, a lot of Georgia fans aren't going to like this win. This is not a game that I think people are going to watch over again and really enjoy. But we saw Mekhi Muse, a guy that I said in my video a few days ago was going to have a breakout game. He did. Big 54-yard touchdown. I told y'all Oscar Delp was going to have a big game. He scored a touchdown late from Brock Vandegrift. So a lot of these guys are ready for this year to be here that maybe didn't start last year. They're going to play more and more as this year goes on. And we saw a lot of guys in today's game, a lot of freshmen, a lot of young players, and I thought they played well, especially considering that overall, the team played better and better as the game went on. But slow first start, they're going to have to clean that up. Need more chemistry, need more flow in the offense. They didn't all look completely comfortable with themselves running the offense. But I still thought Carson Beck played really well, close to 300 yards, accounted for 2 touchdowns, showed off a big arm at times, and he's only going to get better. And I think this team and this offense is only going to get better as well. So the season's here. The Dogs get off to a big win. They win by 41 points. And next week they will take on Ball State right here in Athens, Georgia, Sanford Stadium. Guys, thanks for watching this video. Always appreciate it, and I'll see you over on the website.